Hello everyone, my name is Sathvega Somasundaram and I'll be presenting at the Polygence Symposium of Rising Scholars about my project Stuttering. So for today, I'll be going over number one, the introduction, then the types of stuttering, how how genetics and psychological factors play a role in it, then the neurobiology of stuttering, treatment and intervention, and finally future directions. Now, what is what is stuttering? Stuttering is a complex speech disorder that has intrigued researchers for many decades. It affects individuals across diverse age groups and can have a profound impact on communication and social interactions. Through our exploration, we aim to shed light on underlying factors contributing to stuttering and propose innovative approaches for intervention and support. Typical disfluencies are considered part of normal language development, often observed in children as they learn to navigate language structures and expressions. These include repetitions for emphasis, revisions, and incomplete phrases, which usually do not raise concerns for treatment. On the other hand, atypical disfluencies encompass abnormal speech rhythms, behavioral changes, and interruptions that may signal underlying speech disorders or neurological conditions. These disfluencies, such as prolonged hesitations, fillers, and repetitions, warrant closer examination and interventions to support individuals with this kind of stuttering. Frequency and patterns can vary across various age groups and are mainly characterized by filled pauses and that are common in spontaneous speech. Its impact on stuttering can affect both motor behavior as well as communication, and can also lead challenges in social, emotional, and can impact self-esteem. Disruptions occur 50 to 100 times in conversations with atypical disfluencies. Different types of disfluencies may exhibit distinct patterns across contexts and discussions. For instance, filled pauses are more prevalent in spontaneous, unscripted speech, while repetitions and revisions are more common in speech that requires a lot more thinking and planning for. What are the types of stutters? Well, there's three main ones, and number one is developmental stuttering, which is most common in children. And this is usually also when they're still learning about the language structure and navigating their way through on how to speak it. They they usually outgrow it naturally, while others may still need intervention because they still have it even in their adulthood. Next, we have neurogenic stuttering, which is due to brain damage or injury of the head, which causes disturbances in neural networks responsible for speech production. It is mainly characterized by speech, uncontrollable speech rate, long pauses, increase in repetitions, prolongation, and rapid speech outbursts. Finally, we have psychogenic stuttering, which is stemmed from psychological trauma and is elevated by stress and anxiety. Although it's quite rare, it's characterized by rapid repetition of sounds and words during speech. Research states that genetics has a correlation with stuttering. But is that true? The answer is yes. A genetic landscape of stuttering offers valuable insights into its etiology, and research indicates the correlations between specific genes like the FOXP2, GNPTAB, and GNPTG. In addition, twin studies have shown higher concordance rates among identical twins, underscoring the role of genetic factors in stuttering. In context of genetic regulation, non-coding regions play a pivotal role in the regulation of gene expression through interactions with transcription factors, chromatin remodeling, and other proteins. Risk alleles in stuttering have the capability to modulate gene expression levels and as well as interrupt regulatory elements. Genetic testing enables early identification in individuals at risk of stuttering, which facilitates proactive interventions and supports strategies for affected individuals as well as their families. Beyond just genetics, psychological factors also play a significant role in stuttering. Individuals who stutter often experience heightened levels of stress and anxiety, particularly in communicative situations. Anticipatory anxiety can intensify speech fluency, creating self-enforcing cycles that further impact communication and self-esteem. Avoidance behaviors such as word distributions or the use of many words where when fewer words would do may become ingrained over time and affect how individuals navigate stuttering challenges. Early experiences that include negative responses to stuttering may also contribute to the persistence of this behavior. Additionally, environmental stressors such as high pressure communication situations can trigger or worsen stuttering as well. Chronic exposure to negative reactions leads to heightened stress responses that trigger changes in the neuroendocrine system. Elevated cortisol levels, which are indicative of increased stress, have also been observed in individuals who stutter during communicative situations. This is a quick feedback loop of this response where we start off with a stuttering challenge, then it moves on to the anticipatory anxiety, then emotional tension and heightened anxiety, maladaptive thought patterns, coping tactics, then negative responses, environmental stressors, triggering, triggering and worsening of the stutter, heightened stress levels once again, worsening of speech fluency, and finally the next stuttering challenge. Neurobiology also plays a large role in stuttering, as any parts of the brain have a pivotal role in it. An example is the left inferior frontal gyrus, which helps with speech motor activities, the basal ganglia, which helps formulate phrases, the Broca's region, which helps with language formation, the amygdala, which processes emotion, and finally, the prefrontal cortex, which helps with emotional regulation and the activation in response to emotional stress. Any neuroimaging techniques like the fMRI as well as PET scans have revealed a decreased level of dopamine in neural pathways, which can disrupt the regulation of motor functions involved in speech production. This is because dopamine plays a pivotal role in modulating motor control and coordination, including the timing and execution of movements required for fluent in speech. The decrease of dopamine can cause the decreased level and efficiency of the functions for speech production. Is there a chance for future intervention? The answer is yes. There are two main kinds of interventions that we can take a look at. Number one is the genetic testing for stuttering risk, which utilizes genetic testing to identify specific genetic markers associated with stuttering suspectability. We could analyze if samples that have the affected genes that could lead to stuttering, and these would, and an example of this would be the FOXP2 gene. We would develop tests to assess an individual's genetic predisposition to stuttering, which would allow also for early identification. This would provide individuals and families with valuable information about their likelihood to develop stuttering, as well as help them with proactive measures. Another common way is a predictive testing for offspring probability, and this would also use genetic testing results to predict the probability of offspring inheriting stuttering. We would also offer genetic counseling based on these assessments, and we would also empower families to make informed choices where families can take proactive measures to monitor speech throughout the child's speech journey. this would also help create a correlation between genetics and the environmental factors in stuttering. How would these interventions help in the future? Well, it would add to the exploration to deepen understanding of stuttering etiology. It will also help with the identification of novel biomarkers for more effective stuttering management. It would lead to more science discoveries as well as clinical applications, improving treatment outcomes and enhancing the quality of life for others. This would overall advance research and personalized assessment approaches, offering care and support services for the people in need of it. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Unfortunately, this presentation is asynchronous, so I will not be able to answer any physical questions. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at sathvega27@gmail.com. Thank you so much.